3rd. This is a distinguished day in the life of Wilmington Civitan Club and indeed in the life of Civitan International, as we acknowledge the basic philosophy of Civitans, that of builders of good citizenship. It is the motto of the Civitan Club. It is a part of the emblem of the Civitan Club. It is a part of the lives of Civitan members. In selecting Walker Taylor for the 1986 honor, we are not only highlighting the work of a leader of citizens in our community, but we are exemplifying to all Civitans those marks of good citizenship. For his incomparable example, the Wilmington Civitan Club wants to make this indeed a very distinguished day in the life of our very special guest, Dr. Walker Taylor III. Walker, would you please stand? Thank you very much. Surely Walker's rewards in life have and continue to be many. They have been characterized by a family that is rich in tradition and rich in the history of Wilmington and our area. His rewards have been characterized by having loyal friends that provide support to him in his many endeavors and provide a life of camaraderie. His rewards have been characterized by a church relationship that has provided spiritual guidance, true and lasting friendships, and truly rewarding experiences. His rewards have been characterized by a profession that has provided success to him, enrichment, and has provided for the mere material things in his life. His rewards have been characterized by a devotion to the community and the giving of unlimited time and talent to those organizations that have so much enriched our community, the citizens of this community, and all those who live around us. This is the example of good citizenship. This is good citizenship, and it has influenced each one of us. The Wilmington Civitan Club is very pleased to provide this forum today to recognize the service of Walker Taylor, and we are delighted to have guests with us representing many who have supported Walker, who have worked with him, who have been a part of his life in this community and his career, and who in turn, no doubt, have received much inspiration and guidance from him. As I introduce our special guest today, I would ask that each of you remain standing, and I will also allow that the members of the Civitan Club can hold your applause until we finish our introductions. No doubt Walker's family has been very special to him, and we're delighted that today that so many of his family can be present. None the least of this is his wife, Ethel. Ethel, would you please stand? Who, of course, is a vital part of his life, a vital part of his being the citizen that he is. Next is his daughter, Catherine. Catherine, would you please stand? Next to Catherine, his son, Walker Taylor IV. Robert Ball and English Ball from Atlanta. So glad that you could make it. Ms. Victor Taylor, Betsy, and Victor Taylor, Walker's brother. Dr. Charles P. Graham, Mr. Bill Hill, and Mr. Alan Strange. Alan also is an associate member of the Civitan Club. These are all relatives of Walker. To my left, and if you all will, please remain standing, we have with us as guest today the Mayor of the City of Wilmington, the Honorable Barry Williams. Mr. Thomas H. Wright, retired Bishop of the Episcopal Church. the Reverend Edwin B. Jeffress, retired minister in the Episcopal Church. And a long-time friend, associate, everything which anyone could ask for in the way of friend, business partner, and support, Mr. John Van B. Metz. Mr. Hugh McCrae II, president of the Oleander Company. Mr. Peter Brown Ruffin, chief executive officer of Wilmington Shipping Company. Mr. Lemuel Doss, president of Wilmington Shipping Company. Mr. Wayne Ziegler, executive director of Wilmington Industrial Development Incorporated. Wayne, you may want to talk to Walker about your air conditioning. Wayne has not had air conditioning this week. General Boylan, Lieutenant General George Boylan, who is president of the Babies Hospital Incorporated. Mr. William Morris, III, who is president of Holly Ridge Foods at Holly Ridge. Mr. William Joyner, senior vice president of Wachovia Bank in Wilmington. And sitting on this side of the table, Mr. Richard Brantley, who is executive vice president of the Independent Insurance Agents of North Carolina. Mr. George Chadwick, who is chairman of the Wilmington New Hanover Insurance Advisory Commission. All of these people represent family, friends, associates, and neighbors, including neighbors that we have sitting back to my right, Ms. Bashford, Ms. Robert Bashford. Would you please stand? And Mr. George Clark. These are many of the people who have supported Walker and worked with him in associations, family, friends, neighbors. Let's give them a big hand for being with us today. If you want to learn a lot about somebody, volunteer to chair the awards committee. It's a written plan for finding out the details and many things about someone, some people, and in this case, many people in our community. We had plenty of people who worked on this committee, and while I'm up, I want to acknowledge those who did participate, as well as Civitan members who have assisted in making this presentation possible. Mr. Leslie Boney, Mr. Vance Brooks, Fred Little, Frank O'Brien, who has done the publicity, John Fox, Carlton Allagood, Robert Cook, Carl Allen, Catherine Taylor. Catherine, we really thank you. I've called Catherine and I wanted to be sure that I properly recognized Catherine, and I says, what is your title in the firm, Catherine? She says, we don't have titles, but I'm the boss. Mayor Williams, who has assisted us in putting together the awards, Channel 3 television, is Channel 6 back there. I sure don't want to overlook them. But we do appreciate them and their taping of this presentation. And the awards committee itself, Bill Thorne, who is in England watching the tennis matches, Julian McKeithen, who broke his arm, but Wallace Murkison, who is here today. I thank the committee and I thank each of the Civitans who worked on this. And with this, I will turn the program over to Wallace, who is going to review some of the many activities which Walker has been involved in.
Thank you, Joe. Walker, honored guests, members of Civitan. The other night at a party, I told Walker that I would have the privilege of reviewing his activities at this meeting and that I planned to tell it all. He expressed some mild concern and said, look out there, Wallace, you know too much. It's true that Walker and I have been friends for more than 50 years, and I do know too much to tell in 10 minutes. So I'll use my time to describe some of his leadership roles, and I think this ought to show you why he is today receiving this Civitan Award for Good Citizenship. Let's take just last year, 1985 alone. Walker served as chairman of the Cornelia Nixon Davis Health Care Center, which most of us think of as the nursing home. And we have a good letter from the other members of the board that will go in the scrapbook. He served as chairman of the Committee of 100, the Industrial Development Organization, and I understand has been the chairman for more than 1 year and continues on for the next year. He served as chairman of the local board of directors of Wachovia Bank and Trust Company. We have a good letter from Bill Joyner with respect to his importance to that organization. He served as president of the Cape Fear Country Club, and I think all of you have seen some of his work out there on the golf course. Served as member of the board of directors of Brigade Boys Club, a boys club which his grandfather, Colonel Walker Taylor, founded 90 years ago. He served as a member of the Wilmington, New Hanover County Insurance Advisory Commission, was one of the first members of that commission, and has served for over 10 years. Served as a member of the Wilmington Fire Pension Board, served for over 20 years on that board, taking his father's place. Served as a vestryman of St. James Episcopal Church. All of this was in addition to operating his family business, the Walker Taylor Insurance Agency, founded by his grandfather 108 years ago. Just in 1 year. Let's look back at earlier years, and we find that Walker's activities included the following. President and director of Babies Hospital. We have a good letter from George Boylan. President and director of the North Carolina Azalea Festival. Campaign chairman and director of the United Way. Vice president and director of the North Carolina Association of Independent Insurance Agents. Local chairman and director of the American Red Cross, and head of its disaster committee in 1954, in which he produced the greatest disaster in the history of our county. Hurricane Hazel. Director of the Historic Wilmington Foundation and director of the Wrightsville Biomedical Research Foundation. Walker's involvement with the Episcopal Church is well known to his friends. It's truly a remarkable story. But let's go back to the beginning. His grandfather and grandmother on the father's side, the Taylors, were dedicated members of the First Presbyterian Church. On his mother's side, his grandparents, the J. Victor Grangers, were dedicated members of St. James Episcopal Church 2 blocks away. Walker's parents, Walker Taylor Jr. and Fanny Granger Taylor, solved the problem by attending both churches as a couple from time to time. But the children were raised at St. James. Never underestimate the influence of a mother. After Walker graduated from Davidson College and finished his service in World War II in the Merchant Marine, he came home to the insurance business and to active involvement in the life of St. James Church. In time, he was elected to the vestry, or ruling body, and served as junior warden and later senior warden. His involvement there carried him naturally to the next level of church government, the Diocese of East Carolina. And we have the retired Bishop Thomas Wright, with whom Walker served in so many ways during that time. Walker was a delegate to many annual conventions of the diocese. He served several times as a member of the Diocesan Executive Council, as chairman of various committees and departments, and as a trustee of the diocese. The diocese elected him as a delegate or deputy to 7 National Episcopal Church General Conventions. This is the national legislative body, and since it only meets for every 3 years, you can see that his service spanned a great deal of time. At the General Convention, he was elected as a member of the National Church's Executive Council. The nationwide and worldwide mission of the church inspired him, and he felt that God was calling him to an even more active role. So in 1965, he left Wilmington, moved with his family to Connecticut, and took on a full-time paid job as an executive at the Episcopal Church's headquarters in New York City. For about 5 years, he worked closely with the presiding bishop, who was John Hines, and we have a good letter from him for Walker, and worked with other members of the national staff on a variety of programs and projects. I wish we had more time to tell you of some of the remarkably fine things that Walker was involved in. For 6 years, he served as chairman of the Finance Committee of the National Episcopal Church. He traveled widely throughout the U.S., to England, Canada, Europe, Africa, South America, and the South Pacific. He made friends with bishops, archbishops, priests, lay people in many parts of the world. We've just received a letter from one of them, the retired Bishop of Wyoming, who begins his letter to Walker in care of the club as follows: "Dear Broken Arrow." I'm not sure what the significance of that is. Dear Broken Arrow. He goes on to say that he spoke of when he and Walker functioned together to try to save the Episcopal Church. Walker was interested, among other things, in the Indian work of the church. As a result of Walker's work for the Episcopal Church, he was selected to serve on the boards of trustees of 3 of its educational institutions: the General Theological Seminary in New York City, the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee, and the Berkeley Divinity School at Yale, New Haven, Connecticut. And he was awarded an honorary degree of Doctor of Canon Law, which is the church law, from the last mentioned institution. I think that's why Joe Dixon was called him Dr. Taylor. In all his unselfish volunteer service to his community and his church, Walker has had the support and help of his beautiful wife Ethel and his 4 fine children, 3 of whom are with us today. We're confident that Ethel accepted some of Walker's leadership commitments with enthusiasm, and some with remarks such as, "Not again," or "You're going to do what?" Even as to those commitments, Ethel has been a good sport, and now that the children have left the nest, she has shown her mettle by developing a fine, successful business career of her own. Based on my long friendship and association with Walker, I believe I can describe and summarize the principal characteristics of his leadership as a good citizen. 1, he accepts responsibility. If he's interested in an organization or project and joins in, he's willing to take on committee chairmanships and the top spot as president or chairman. And you notice how many of the organizations we referred to selected him as their highest officer. 2nd, he works to improve the organization or program. If you want just someone who's a caretaker president, you don't want Walker. He changes things. He believes problems can be solved and conditions can be improved, and he sets out to do it. Third, he communicates with people by phone, by letter, by meetings, especially by meetings. He finds out what different people are thinking, how to bring them together, where the consensus is, and then he builds on this to achieve support for the program. He's a great believer in the printed message, and if he becomes president, you can count on your printing and mailing expense going up. He has his own ideas and doesn't hesitate to express them, but he respects the views of others and doesn't try to ride over them. Finally, fourth, he has a sense of humor. This is a good attribute of a leader. It reduces tension and smooths the way people work together. And Walker's ability to laugh even at himself has helped him through some difficult times and kept his composure when things weren't going well. For his leadership and good citizenship throughout many years, the Wilmington Civitan Club, on behalf of our entire community, says to Walker Taylor III, thanks for what you have done, thanks for what you have been, and thanks for what you have meant to us.
At this time, we'll move into the presentation of awards, and I'll call on Mayor Barry Williams. Mary Williams. Mayor.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Ethel, I can readily see that based on the record, you really are the boss. You've been running things because Walker didn't have time to make any grocery money over all those years with all the other things that he's had to do. So he really needed you and still does. Now, how many children do you have? Oh, my goodness. How'd you get... I won't go into that. You know, the mayor of the city of Wilmington has the opportunity to appear at a lot of meetings. And I appreciate that opportunity, sometimes more than others. There are times, very frankly, when I go out of a sense of obligation. But when Joe Dixon called me and asked me if I would come and take part in this program today, you know you couldn't have kept me away if I'd had to call an ambulance to get me here. I've known the recipient of today's award for some 40 years. I have appreciated all the things that Wallace has said about him, his civic involvement, his business, community involvement, and very especially his involvement in his church. You know, people with that kind of, people who are involved in their churches are needed, desperately needed, particularly today in our community. So I've known Walker for some 40 years and have had an opportunity to observe the things that he's done and to appreciate the things that he has done, is doing, and the things that I'm confident that he will continue to do. I believe Joe Dixon mentioned something about this being Walker Taylor Day. You know, that's another thing that the mayor has an opportunity to do from time to time, is to issue proclamations. And even the city council can't veto those. So it is my pleasure on behalf of the citizens of the city of Wilmington, and I'm sure I speak for the citizens of this area, when I do hereby proclaim this as Walker Taylor Day in Wilmington, North Carolina, and call on all of our citizens to appreciate the things that he has done and take a note from his record and rededicate ourselves to the task of building a better Wilmington. And in order to give him something to remind himself of just how much we do appreciate his service to the community, I hope you'll put this somewhere where he can see it occasionally and be reminded of just how much we think of him. I have here what I think is a beautiful waterfront picture of the city of Wilmington. I can't quite find his office there. Oh, yeah, there it is. With the seal of the city of Wilmington and the name Walker Taylor III, and signed by the mayor of the city of Wilmington this July 9th, 1986. On behalf of the citizens of Wilmington, Walker, I'd like to present you this at this time.
Our next presentation will be by the president of the Civitan Club, Mr. Carl Allen.
Walker, would you step up, please, sir? Wallace has said it all. I would only be redundant if I went into any further detail. But from the Wilmington Civitan Club, we would like for you to have this plaque, Civitan Citizen of the Year, for outstanding achievement and unselfish service in the betterment of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can remain standing, Walter. On behalf of Civitans and on behalf of the awards committee, we want to present this to you and to Ethel. You may wish to join him in this. Something that we hope both of you can enjoy. And we congratulate you so much on being our Citizen of the Year and appreciate all that you've done for us and for our community. Thank you too, Ethel.
Thank you.
You can have the floor.
The only thing I know for sure is that this meeting is supposed to be over by 3:30. Was that correct? It's 2 minutes after 2, so in about one more minute I'll be seated. I certainly wanted to thank you fellows in the Civitan Club for this overwhelming honor. I have long thought that this is the best civic club in the city of Wilmington. Don't tell that to my Kiwanian brethren or my friends in Rotary and so on, but I have admired you all. John Fox filled me in a little bit on the days of the formation of the Civitan Club, and I think Everett Huggins is here as one of your charter members, so I am honored by your selection of this distinguished award, and of course deeply appreciate my friends being here, my family who had to come, but my friends from near and far who have meant so much to me. With respect to Wallace's remarks, if you want to believe all that stuff, that's okay with me. First time I've caught him in a series of exaggerated fabrications. But Julian McKeithen told me, when I asked him what this was all about, and he says it's just an exercise in your own ego, so just enjoy it. So I've got an ego, and I've enjoyed it, and I thank you very, very much, and I am deeply honored by all of you all being here present. Thank you so much.
Mr. President, that's the end of our ego trip, so I'll turn the program back over to you.
We would like to